Well, I guess we can start. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining. And as I said, welcome to our first virtual territory update session for this year. As we're moving back to kind of in-person updates and meetings, this it won't be our last virtual update, but hopefully we can substitute with some more in-person updates rather than doing everything via computer screen. So for those that don't know me, and hopefully most of you do by now, my name's Simon Boisseau. I'm the Managing Director at Accucoms. I'm based in the UK, and I'll just be doing a quick introduction to today's session and some housekeeping before handing over to the rest of the team for the main presentations. Just to make everyone aware, we will be recording the sessions and the sessions will be available on our website after the event for you to look at. And the aim of today's sessions is to really give a set of short territory updates. Sometimes these virtual updates are longer, but we decided to condense everything into an hour. We appreciate people are busy, so we've planned for about an hour of your time. And so hopefully you'll find this information useful and helpful for your business planning. And to avoid repetition for previous sessions, we've decided to change things up a little bit. In terms of the topics, decided to choose some slightly more diverse subjects. So we have an update on the consortium markets and other opportunities in Mexico. We're also going to be looking at open access initiatives in parts of Northern and Southern Europe before we take a look at corporate developments in India, which is an area that seems to be growing again. As well as an update of opportunities and our activities in the Middle East. So hopefully there'll be something relevant for you today. So in a moment, I'll introduce our first speaker, but I would encourage you to use the chat function just to ask any questions as we go along. So we do have a Q&A session planned for the end, and we will try and get through as many questions as we can during the Q&A session. So please don't be shy. Say hello and introduce yourselves as you've done, but also ask any questions as we go through. And as always, please bear with us if we have any connection issues. We've assembled quite a diverse set of speakers today, dialing in from all around the world. And we do like to do these sessions live rather than pre-recorded as much as possible, which of course opens us up to the nuances of kind of international connections. So please bear with us if we do run into any connection issues. So anyway, enough from me. And without further ado, I'm going to hand over to our first presenter, who is Anouk Snyders. And Anouk will be giving us an update on her market, or one of her markets, which is Mexico. So over to you, Anouk.
Thank you very much, Simon, for the introduction. Hello, everyone. Good morning or good afternoon or evening, depending on where you are. I'm Anouk Snyders, and I'm the Regional Manager for Latin America. And today I wanted to share a little bit of an update about one of our main focus countries in the territory, about Mexico. So I will be giving you a little bit of information about the economic situation in Mexico, the challenges we are encountering in this market, and also about the National Consortium CONRECIT, and a little bit about, as well about what Accucoms, what we are doing currently in Mexico. So to start, I just wanted to give a little bit of an overview on the economic part of this market. If we look at the total GDP for 2021, we can see that Mexico is ranked number 16 worldwide, and it is the second economy of Latin America, just after Brazil. However, if we look at the GDP per capita, we can see Mexico is ranked quite a bit lower, number 70 of the world and number 5 of Latin America. I also took a look at the GDP growth forecast for 2022. We don't see things going very well for Mexico in this sense, because we see a 1.7% growth forecast, with which it is ranked number 16 out of 19 countries listed here in Latin America. I also took a look at the QS World University ranking for 2022. 2 Mexican institutions are included in the top 10 best universities in Latin America. according to this ranking. The first one is UNAM, which is ranked number 105 out of the world, and second institution of Latin America. And the other institution on this list is Tecnológico de Monterrey, or ITESM, the Higher Education Technical Institute of Monterrey, which is listed as the fifth institution of Latin America. A little bit of background on the Mexican public funding for higher education and research, which is currently in quite a bit of a challenging situation. Expenditure on research and development in Mexico is at this moment 0.3% of the GDP versus more than double that amount across all countries in Latin America and the Caribbean. In the last few years, we have seen mostly flat or reduced budgets for most of the public academic institutions. For this year, 2022, the only approved budget increases for public academic institutions were for UNAM with only 1%, and for a very small agricultural university, Antonio Narro, with 2%. These percentages, of course, do not even cover the yearly subscription increases, and all other institutions really have seen flat or reduced budgets. Mainly the polytechnical and technological institutions, as well as some of the autonomous universities, have seen their budgets considerably reduced over the past few years. And this has been mainly due to government funds to academic institutions being cut off in 2021 and 2022, mainly to attend other programs of the current government of López Obrador that are mainly related to public infrastructure. Here we can see a few graphics with, unfortunately, downward going lines as for Mexican federal funds for higher education and research. So on the left, we can see the public funds on education on the black line, and on higher education, the orange line, as a percentage of the total public spending. We can see here that higher education spending has gone down from 3.5% in 2015 to under 3% this year. To the right, we can also have a look at the public funds reductions for polytechnical and technological institutions in Mexico, with an incredible 99% reduction in 2021 and 2022 funds when we're comparing with the numbers in 2016. And also the last one is the total public funds for science, technology, and innovation, where we can see a 37% reduction as well in this year compared with 2015. So a little bit of information on the CONRECYT Consortium, the national consortium in Mexico. Because of all these budget reductions by the Mexican government, of course, we have also seen considerable reductions in the CONRECYT deal amounts during the past years. This has been mainly done by eliminating a number of institutions that were receiving the subscriptions. At this moment, CONRECYT is no longer funding subscriptions for any public universities in Mexico. So these institutions can remain as part of the CONRECYT agreements, but they have to pay directly and with their own funds. The CONRECYT research centers that are part of the agreements, they have also seen reduced funding in the last few years. Some of the selected centers continue to receive subscriptions that are paid centrally by the consortium, while other centers have been eliminated from the agreements. So what we are seeing now is that the CONRECYT role is mostly reduced at this moment to centralized negotiation on behalf of the institutions and support in the communication between publishers and institutions. But it's no longer a centralized consortium paying one single invoice on behalf of all the institutions and signing one single contract. This has, as a result, that we have seen an increase in the bureaucratic burden, the documentation requirements, paperwork that is needed on behalf of most of the institutions, as all institutions now need to do this directly, sign their own contracts, and get their own paperwork as required by Mexican law. So I wanted to briefly mention these two associations in Mexico. One of them is ANUYES, that is the National Association of Universities and Higher Education Institutes, with over 200 members. And they are trying to collaborate for different purposes, such as research and development in specific areas. The other one is AMBAC, which is the Mexican Association of Librarians, with more than 300 active members. One of their main objectives at this moment is to create business links and collaborations between publishers and libraries. And these two institutions are really trying to unite universities and university libraries to collaborate and to try to find solutions for all the current challenges in the higher education and research in Mexico, and to find a way to still get their researchers having access to important information resources. So to finalize, just a little bit of information on what we are currently doing in Mexico. We are, of course, supporting our publishers with all the required processes for renewals, both those that go through ConReceipt and all the direct renewals with the institutions. We are offering training sessions as required by current customers, and of course, also always exploring new sales opportunities that are there, even within the challenging budget situation. We do this through gap analysis, promotion activities, offering trials, and also specifically focusing on win-backs with those institutions that were left out of the ConReceipt agreements in the last few years. Also, we are present at the most important industry events, library events in Mexico. And for this year, we are planning to do regular site visits again, now it's possible again, to current customers and also to new prospects in the territory. So this all will help us to build closer relationships with the library decision makers and also with the faculty members, who are very important as they can influence the decisions taken at the library, of course. And to finalize, I'm really happy to let you know that we now have local presence in Mexico City again since last month. Our new colleague, Juan Manuel Lopez Gonzalez, he just started, he joined the team to work as a marketing and account executive for Latin America. So he will be supporting us, all of the team across all of Latin America, Spanish-speaking Latin America, with marketing activities, sales support activities. But of course, as he's based in Mexico, he will also strongly be focusing on the day-to-day contact with the consortium and with the institutions in Mexico. So on the right on the picture, you can see Juan Manuel at a picture taken last week with the current and former president of AMBAC, as he was able to attend the AMBAC workshop sessions in Guadalajara last week on behalf of Accucoms. So we are really happy to have a local presence in Mexico again, and are sure this will help us a lot to build stronger relationships with customers in this important territory. So this is what I wanted to share with you today about Mexico. If there are any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat, and I'll be happy to answer them at the end of the Q&A session. And also, please feel free to contact me by email if there are any questions. So thank you, everyone, for listening.
Great, thanks, Anouk. And it's great to see that we're expanding the team in Mexico. And of course, it's very useful to get an update on what is a kind of ever-changing picture in Mexico. And, you know, there's been a lot of change over the last 12 months in both Brazil and Mexico. So I think it's really useful that we have people on the ground that really understand the process, especially since there seems to be more bureaucracy involved. Okay, moving on to our second presentation, we now have Rob Turner, who's going to give us an update on his work in UK and Scandinavia, mainly to do with open access models and transformative and read and publish deals. So I'll hand over to Rob. Thanks very much, Rob.
Great, thanks, thanks, Simon. Hello, everyone. Well, my role to you, the publishers, has certainly evolved in the past couple of years, from selling standard subscriptions, ebooks, archives, but now as open access agreements gains momentum in my region, it's certainly my responsibility to update you on the ever-changing landscapes. So 32% of the total active global agreements are in the UK and Scandinavia, 90% being in Europe as a whole. Now, read and publish agreements are still very much seen as a stepping stone to transition entire journal programs to sustainable open access. Also, authors will not be paying separate EPCs, which used to be the old dominant model. So how are libraries embracing these agreements? Well, first and foremost, with read and publish agreements, librarians still very much like the flexibility of having a standard straight subscription running along the publishing element. It, of course, streamlines the publishing process for authors which is very well received within the academic community. Libraries are matching their author output, so looking exactly where their authors are from, which journals they are putting their articles into, and then they can match up the best publisher. It's absolutely no secret that successful deals are coming out of Plan S hotspots, such as the UK, Germany, Holland, and Sweden. So, well, last couple of years, we've seen some great success stories, I think. I think that's the best way of putting it. We've established some great deals in the UK with JISC, the National Consortium, Rockefeller University Press, the Royal Society, Geological Society, and more recently PLOS, which all are seeing some great results. Lots of institutions are signing up to these agreements, which is really great to see. And again, it's no surprise that 92% of these agreements are national or going through a consortium. Now in Denmark, I think there's a little bit of a different conversation going on in Denmark, maybe slightly behind the curve, but they believe from 2025 that there should be unimpeded open access policy to all scientific research articles from their Danish institutions. So how can you, the publishers, help? Well, first of all, and this is really important, is that open access agreements, they're not for everyone for many, many different reasons. So this is why it's important to let you know that standard journal subscriptions and ebooks and archive sales are still very strong and still very, very popular. Open access agreements, they're not competing with these sales. I would say they're running alongside each other very, very nicely. I think improvements in metadata services will be a great idea, because you need to know exactly where your authors are coming from. Sometimes these authors can be across multiple institutions, so it's absolutely crucial to capture this data. Matching authors to existing subscriber lists. Again, it's just doing your homework, just trying to locate what are the best countries to go after when you're seeking out these deals. APC revenue, well, it doesn't always match subscription revenue, especially with high profile journals. So it's very important to do the maths and make sure that the agreement is viable for your business model, and certainly before that agreement goes live. Identifying your audience, well, whether it's a block grant in the UK or a national vision in Germany, again, seeking out those territories that are probably going to give you the most success in gaining these agreements. Now, I did want to talk a little bit about Coalition S and ALPSP. They've come together to create a fantastic toolkit where they are giving you guidelines, templates, model licenses, a real step-by-step guide to how you can be successful with these agreements. Also within pricing, the negotiation stage. So I provided a link there. Please have a read through. It's really great information. Please contact me over the coming days if you'd like to talk further about that. And as the world finally opens up, it's been a long time coming. The exhibitions that I'll be attending over the coming weeks and months, we've got Connell, which is in Limerick in Ireland on the 23rd of May, and then a week later UKSG in Telford, and then LIBA in Denmark in July. So if you would like to talk to me about any of these events, please reach out to me. So listen, thanks very much for joining today and listening to my presentation. I welcome any questions in the Q&A. Thank you.
Thanks, Rob. Yeah, as he rightly points out, you know, our role as intermediaries has really changed a lot, especially in Rob's markets, where, you know, to do business with any of the consortia now really requires a conversation about, you know, open access, read and publish, transformative deals, all of the above. So we are, busy exploring all of those and having conversations with the publishers where it makes sense. As Rob said, for others, it doesn't make sense. And of course, there are still opportunities for, standard subscriptions. So moving on then, on a similar theme, we have an update from Fanny Monegro, who is our regional manager for Benelux and Spain, where also, especially in Benelux, there is obviously a kind of a very advanced open access movement, but increasingly from Southern Europe, we're also seeing the next wave of countries coming online. So I'll hand over to Fanny to give us an update of the work that she's doing with regards to open access in those important markets. Thank you, Fanny.
Thank you, Simon. Good morning, everyone. My name is Fanny Monegro, and it is my pleasure to share with you an open access market update. I have, during my presentation, we will focus our attention in the Dutch and the Spanish market. And let's start with the Netherlands. The negotiations in the Netherlands in terms of open access occurs on two different levels. At the national level, and this is via the UKB consortium. This is the Association of Dutch Universities and the National Royal Library. At one point of the conversation, Surf Market get involved in the negotiations. At this point, I think that it's also very important to mention that every conversation at the national level or negotiation at the national level starts with the national program open access in the Netherlands. And these programs brings together national stakeholders and also coordinate the transition to open access. The UKB consortium is working at this moment in a special project to support full open access publishers. Accucoms is working together with the UKB consortium because one of the publishers that we represent is a very important part of this project. And this is really important and exciting for us. Next to the negotiations at the national level, we also have the traditional negotiations directly with the universities and other institutions and organizations. I have to say that in 2021, we were able to close many agreements on behalf of the publishers that offer written publish agreements, but also other regular subscription agreements for our publishers included in our portfolio. We see now in 2022 that the interest in full open access increased, and we continue with these conversations in negotiations on a different level. The last part of the Dutch market update that I would like to mention is just to give you an idea of the Dutch mentality in terms of open access as well. A few weeks ago, one librarian of one of the most important medical centers in the Netherlands told me that as a rule, and I repeat his own words, as a rule, in the Netherlands, we prefer negotiations and agreements via the UKB and soft market. That's what they prefer. So that's something that is important to keep in consideration. So with this, I would like to continue with Spain. At the beginning of 2021, many Spanish librarians during the conversations we had started to explain that open access was an important part of the objective that Review had defined in their strategic plan for the period 2020-2023. To understand why this is important and what is review and why I was excited about this, you need to receive the following information. There are negotiations in Spain at different levels, directly with the universities, of course, and there are conversations via the CRUE and the CSIC. The CRUE, these are more at the national level. The CRUE is the organization or the association of the 76 Spanish universities. 76 from which 50 are public and 26 are private. Together, the libraries of these universities, together with the CSIC, formed also an association that is known as a review, Red of Libraries, Network of Libraries. And you might have heard about this because they organize also every year the conference that take place in Spain, the main conferences. And also in 2020, they established a national table, what they call a national table of negotiations. This national table of negotiation was able to sign the transformative agreements that Spain signed in 2021 with some big publishers. It was a positive change in our conversations because until that moment, the Spanish market was only interested in subscription. So now I started asking questions about written publish agreements and open access. There are also other type of conversations in Spain, just to inform you, at with the Spanish University Consortia, that there are more than 7, and with the Spanish Health Consortia, that there are more than 10, basically organized by autonomous communities. After this information, I considered that it was interesting to share with you just some aspects of my experience in Spain over the last 2 years. And I want to mention that we notice a lot of interest in written publish agreements from different librarians. Written publish agreements were signed with the publishers, especially some of the publishers that signed more agreements in Spain via Accucoms included Royal Society, Rockefeller University Press, American Physiological Society, and more. Something that we are very proud of is that the CSIC subscribed a written publish agreement with one of the publishers that we represent. And this was very important for us as it was important for the publisher. Because at the same moment, in 2021, Mercedes informed that they had more than 14 agreements at the same time, proposal for an agreement at the same time. And we were successful to get this agreement to be signed. Also, moving to another point, we noticed that university consortia were very interested in open access, but not only signing agreement, but also collecting a lot of information in order to understand what it means and to discuss with their members as well. But the universities that signed most agreements, I would like to mention 2 that were specifically active, and that is University of Barcelona and University Pompeu Fabra. And what are we seeing in 2022? Also, it's very positive, what we are seeing at this moment. A lot of librarians are also interested in agreements with full open access publishers. That is really positive as well. Most of the requests are coming from universities that are located in the autonomous community of Catalonia. University consortia are also very interested in the agreements. We start receiving requests of health consortia in Spain, and these are many consortia. Something important to mention at the same time is that there are so many challenges in terms of the agreements with the open access publishers and written publish agreements, because there is not a specific budget for open access agreement or for open access in general. So there are only 2 universities with a specific budget. One of them I have mentioned already during my presentation, and it's a very tiny, small budget. So this is a very important challenge for the universities and for the publishers. And there's a need of technologies to manage open access. But this is also something that we are exploring together with the librarians and our publishers. I think that this is the most important of the information I prepared for you today. Of course, I'm sharing here my email, and I'm very happy to share more information and to discuss the market if you want to contact me or discuss more. Thank you very much for this opportunity, and have a nice day.
Wonderful, thanks, Fanny. Yeah, and I think it just goes to show that, you know, Northern Europe has been leading the way with a lot of this kind of open access and transformative action. But definitely Southern Europe is coming online. We're seeing more requests and more interest coming from places such as Spain and Italy and obviously France. So it goes alongside the other activity we're doing. As mentioned several times, you know, normal subscription business is still there, but there is a definite need, especially with the consortia now, to be talking to them about open access initiatives, and you know, read and publish deals are definitely in vogue in these markets now. So great. Now moving on, we have something completely different. We're going to take a dip into the Indian or the South Asian corporate market. It's a market that's been around for a while, but obviously the pandemic, I think, has really affected things when it came to the kind of the corporate sales side. But we're definitely seeing an uptick going on in India and other parts of Asia. So I'm going to hand over to my colleague Pradeep Kumar, who will give us an update of his activity in the Indian market. So over to you, Pradeep.
Thank you, Simon. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone. My name is Pradeep, and I'm the Regional Sales Manager for South India and Sri Lanka. Alongside, I am managing the corporate sales for India. And in my today's presentation, I'm going to talk about the corporate plans and the developments for South Asia. And while I do that, I will be taking you through the various segments in the corporate. Then I'll be talking about the trends in the market and the various models on demand. And of course, I will be talking about what is Accucoms' approach towards the business development, and post that summarizing the entire conversation with the question and answer sessions. So please feel free to put in all your questions. So besides academic business, we were thinking, what's next? So corporate business. So before I talk about the corporate development, I would love to give you a quick background about India's economy and as well as the GDP. So India is obviously a middle-income developing market economy. And the way we are going, I don't think so we should be calling ourselves middle income moving forward. And India is the world's 6th largest economy. And by nominal GDP, it is 3.29 trillion US dollars as of 2022. And this data is available in the internet for you guys to check. And also to give you a surprising, forecast that India will surpass Japan to become the 2nd largest economy in Asia by 2030. So that's the prediction, and it sounds very great for India and for Indian economy. So corporates are the key, and they are adding a lot of, value to India's growth and economy and to the GDP. So that being said, Accucoms identifies the segment importance, and we realize that most of the publishers, including the agencies, do not focus on them, but we identify the segment importance, its values, its revenue potentials in South Asia, and of course in the rest of the world. That being said, corporate business has a great potential to add on to the revenues to all our publishers. So market corporate market alone is a huge segment to explore. And as I said, Accucoms has identified, and we have the expertise to cater, and we look forward to a strategic partnership with all the publishers in adding value to either parties moving forward. And we have a clear goal, and we have set the publishers as well as the customer goals. And while we are working towards achieving it, we make sure that we set the ball rolling in terms of, we would like to work very closely with the publishers in vetting the process, especially while we sign the agreements, and also close some big deals. And of course, Accucoms will be acting as a bridge, and we will basically treat ourselves as consultants between the customers and the publishers in engaging either parties. When I say the parties, it's both publishers as well as the customers. We would, of course, create and innovate solutions case by case basis in delivering the needs and in catering the RFPs as we move forward. So what are the various corporate segments? So hospitals, post COVID-19, we have seen, and we have learned that this segment has made huge revenues. And I'm talking about the network change hospitals, who are spread across South Asia, Asia, and MENA. And some of the names like Apollo Group, Columbia Asia are our target. And of course, corporate pharma has again, made huge revenues during the COVID period. And of course, they do have budgets. And IT, information technology, and information technology enabled services comprises of, not only the information technology, also engineering, science, and technology as well. And of course, biotechnology and biomedical engineering, corporate segment. So what are the various trends in the market, and what are the on-demand models in these segments? So corporate subscription or purchase trends are changing rapidly, and we have learned in the last 2 or 3 years that we need to adopt to the change. So while we do that, pharma companies have come up, and they are more inclined towards corporate gifting and sponsorship models. So basically, pharma companies, they have various departments, and they have set aside some budgets, and they sponsor online access to their doctors. And while they do that, they use e-prints and reprints as a touch point while they promote their products in their discussions. And this is purely in the pharma sector. Of course, we are keeping the options open to discuss pay-per-view models, token packages, articles on demand models, and these are the cost-effective models which pharma companies and including R&Ds and IT sectors are looking forward for. And we are pretty much working very closely on these models as well. So that being said, we have also had some experience working with engineering company, and they do have a R&D department, and we have worked with one of the publishers for tokens package. And of course, corporate site license, for in-house R&D utility has been going down, has been deteriorating because they look at cost-effective models, and they are slowly moving away from the traditional and the conventional subscription models. So we, as I said, that we will be keeping a close watch, and we will be working with all our publishers on case-by-case basis on these prevailing models. And permissions is something that there are inquiries coming in, and we will be working on them as it comes by. So, what would be Accucoms' approach? Accucoms, as I said, that we have a clear roadmap for all our publishers as well as for our customers, and we are working very closely with both the clients as well as publishers on case-by-case basis, and we will also be working with them for signing agreements. While we do that, we will also be closing some big deals just to make sure we set the ball rolling. So that being said, we obviously would be identifying potential publishers. We will be setting up webinars with them, and we will be closely discussing our plans, formulating strategies, and we will be expediting the representation opportunities across territories. When I say territories, South Asia, Asia, and rest of the world. And we also network with local consultants, and they possess tremendous, corporate expertise in subscription solutions. Like I talked about, there are various demands on demand models. We do identify the need, and we will be working very closely to expedite and replicate unique ideas to create business opportunities for all our publishers. We keep trying, we never give up. We keep thinking out of the box as to what could be new, what could be creative in helping our clients to help with their budgets, and also offering a value proposition to pursue every business case as we move on. So just to summarize, corporate business is a serious business, and it's huge, and we are pretty much open to be working with many publishers and as well as the clients. And as I said, there is a need to adapt to the change we are. So corporate business was existing, it is there for taking, so do not hesitate, please talk to us. So with this, I would like to conclude my presentation. Thank you very much for listening. Good day. Over to you, Simon.
Wonderful. Thanks, Pradeep. Yeah, just to give you a glimpse of some of the work that we're doing in the corporate sector in India, but also, we roll out that model across the whole of Asia, where there are also opportunities in this area. I think growing opportunities. So it's definitely an area that I personally am always asked about. Can Accucoms help increase our business in the corporate sector? And I think for a long time it had proved difficult, but I think there is definitely new opportunities arising out of the Asian market in that respect. So, and it doesn't always have to be pharma and reprints. There's a whole range of other opportunities to do with corporate that we're exploring and finding out in that market. So yeah, if you have any questions or ideas, then please feel free to touch base with Pradeep or Rakesh and the team or myself, and we'll see whether we can take those forward. So without further ado, we have our last presenter. So Ayad is going to join us to talk about Middle East. It's obviously a market that's very close to my heart, a frustrating market, but also an important one. And Ayad has got some updates for us for what it's like doing business in the Middle East and Turkey as well. So I'll hand over to Ayad. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Simon. Thank you for the intro. Good morning, good evening, and again, good afternoon for everyone. I'll be going a bit operational this time. So my colleagues went through several strategic and futuristic and expectations of the coming, the future potentials. I'll take you through a round of operational stuff that we may afterwards benefit from and grow the business accordingly, and of course maintain the existing one. So a quick overview. So the after COVID situation, I can say that the Middle East, North Africa, and Turkey have recovered nicely from COVID. So accordingly, the team and myself have been on the road as of January this year, visiting customers in person, which is, as you know, critical in this part of the world. So Turkey team have been visiting more or less around 30 customers so far, mainly the top candidates, and also the win-backs ones, which is critically important. I'll touch upon this in the coming slides. My colleague Nazim and myself visited UAE, Saudi, and Qatar a couple of times already, and of course the plan is to keep doing this going forward, as this is the best way to sell and maintain the relationships. On the budget side, both Middle East and Turkey is kind of back to normal when it comes to the COVID-related budgets. Obviously, Turkey is suffering from the currency and not the budget in this case, because the budgets were maintained and even increased a little bit to accommodate with the devaluation of the currency. So going a bit further into the consortia and the region, so I've highlighted those top 5 ones actually. So I wanted to give a quick update about each of them, and then I'll leave it to you to reach out, of course, if you need more information or more update or on how to penetrate or sustain the business with any. So quickly, SDL, the Saudi Digital Library, I would say they're the most important consortium in the Middle East, and at the same time, unfortunately, the most annoying ones. The challenge here is mainly the changes, or the regular changes actually in managements. It's on average a year and a half, 2 years, and they have a complete new management, which makes it hard to maintain the existing business, the renewals, as well as introducing new business. Having said that, we're closely working with them, renewing the existing subscriptions, of course, and hopefully this at any point I'm waiting for the new PO or tender that will go for the coming 3 years, 2022 to 2025. They're not the easiest consortium, as I said, but again, being close is the name of the game, and keeping the relationship with those whom are operation and available all the time and do not change. I thought I also mention Egypt Knowledge Bank, although they're not really active in terms of subscriptions and adding subscriptions, I would say. Egypt Knowledge Bank was established some 5 years ago, and the main is to provide national coverage, I would say, for Egypt with the main large databases. That's why what they've done is basically subscribe to the large databases, the multidisciplinary ones, and also extended that activity or coverage to K-12 sector. So the main role of Egypt Knowledge Bank at the moment is basically to maintain what they have and keep the national coverage to hopefully the whole of the country. So unfortunately, very limited opportunity here when it comes to adding content, but also, of course, we're still close to them because things change, right? The next consortia is the Lebanese Academic Library Consortium. Although it's a very organized one with capable individuals, but here the lack of business comes from the country itself, because you may have followed up the news. The country is suffering from political and economical situation at the moment. Having said that, we're working with the top institutions and managed to run away with the renewals despite the hard budget situation. We'll keep doing that. We're working closely with the customers and the publishers. Thanks to most of the publishers, if not all, actually, they provided discounted prices, sometimes free of charge, that helped, and also the customers appreciate it. So I'm sure that would help in the future. Then I'll come to Serest of Algeria and Knudst of Tunisia. So North Africa, and it's no secret, we've been discussing this. It's a tough part of the world to work with, but having my colleague Nazim, who've worked with you all, I guess, on this part of the world and still working, is helping. We've managed to penetrate such difficult parts with all the bureaucracy and the admin work that is needed. I would say for Tunisia and Algeria and Morocco in a less sense, we need to keep in mind the kind of mid to longer term, I would say, attitude or approach to be able to penetrate into them. So relatively longer trials is needed. Pushing the brand and the products and going into awareness and webinars to researchers is very essential for this part of the world to build the momentum, and then afterwards obviously the demand will come, and we've been playing the game nicely with those two countries. We've managed to close deals for our publishers and renewed others. So again, if you need any further information for those two, please feel free to reach out to my colleague Nazim. Now, quickly about Turkey, I'm sure you're all aware about, or most of you are aware of the situation in Turkey. So I'm not going to go deep. We've circulated all relevant information and updates since 2-3 years about it. The situation is no different. The currency is still not doing great. We're still at the range of 15 Turkish lira for the dollar. Having said that, it's been stable, I would say, since the beginning of this year, because the fluctuation was hurting the decisions actually of the librarians and the purchasers. So stable even at a tough rate is still good. Having said that, and seeking for better and improving the business going forward and eliminating the losses, we're going in coordination with you, our colleagues and partners. Actually, we're going into a bit different offerings. So thanks to you, we're offering shorter subscription terms, like let's say June towards end of the year, 6 months, or prorated rates. This is helping to accommodate with the budget deficits. We're going into the win-backs, as I said, especially. So to get back those customers whom lost access or lost subscription due to lack of budgets in this case. We're also closely working with ANCOS, the national consortium, and also the Turkish Library Association. There has been several webinars here and discussions to kind of try to understand and shape up the direction going forward. And most important, as I said, visiting customers in their locations, which is ongoing. And finally, obviously, exhibiting for the next ANCOS, which would be November 2022. Last but not least, quick update. Simon has circulated this earlier, but we just wanted to highlight that along with Accucoms, we've started an entity, a local entity that is based in Dubai. We thought this can be of assistance to any local requirements. So let's say billing, collection, some local tendering and trainings. So if you also happen to have any need for a local entity, so this is at the moment actually part of Accucoms. With this, I come to my presentation, the end of my presentation. I'll just to be conscious of the time. Thank you very much. If you need any question during the queue, if you have any question, let me know. Feel free to email me as well. And I stop here. Bye-bye. Take care.
Thanks, Iyad. Can I ask everyone to join me back if everyone can switch on their mics and videos, and we'll just do a quick short Q&A. We're running a little bit over. We've still got a few minutes. We'll continue, get through the questions that have been posed. So I think, Rob, there were a couple of questions for you, one of which I wasn't completely sure about the answer to, but hopefully you can fill us in. Which was the link between JISC and UKRI. And the comment was that JISC seemed to be pressurizing publishers to comply on behalf of the UKRI. So I don't know whether you could shed any light on that, anything that you've kind of heard.
Yeah, I can. The UKRI policy was launched in April, and there is a very strong link and relationship between JISC. My understanding, and I know this has come from a question from yourself, Susan, is that UKRI researchers cannot publish in journals where there is no active read and publish agreement in place. That's my understanding. So quite often before these agreements go live, they like to know that the funding from UKRI is already in place and there is an affiliation with those researchers. So, but it's something that's only come about, like I say, since April. But to answer your question, yes, there is a very strong relationship, and they would prefer you to certainly be cooperative towards that. Yeah.
Good, thank you, Rob. Yeah, my feeling is that JISC, they are definitely the heavyweights in the UK market and really pushing forward at all points the kind of open access and read and publish transformative deals. In fact, it's kind of, they won't really talk to you unless you have one of these things now. So hopefully it doesn't ever feel like it's pressurizing or bullying in any way, but it's definitely, they're very blinkered and focused on that. But, good organization nonetheless. And, we obviously work closely with them. Another one for Rob, and maybe for Fanny, for your markets, or anyone really. It's about how consortia and libraries are feeling about open access book models. I don't know whether you guys have had any feedback or success looking at those.
I haven't, Simon, I haven't come across too many, but I think it is a conversation that's starting to happen. And again, JISC often leads the way in these things, but they've created a toolkit which they launched in March to help with these types of models. So I haven't come across them specifically, but I think people are now asking. So I think that's why JISC have taken the initiative to create this toolkit to try and help publishers guide them through this relatively new model. But I think the conversation's definitely starting.
Yeah, that's my feeling. I know there was an announcement, was it today or yesterday, about Max Planck doing a big open access deal. I think it was with Springer Nature ebooks. So yes, for sure. I think journals are still a priority, and they obviously have a long list of those publishers that they want to get through. But, for the big publishers, open access books is definitely going to be next on the list, I guess. Although for us, it's still a relatively small percentage of it. Okay, any other questions that came through? We just had one at the end from Juan about research for life initiatives in emerging countries in Latin America. Some publishers are funding 100% APCs for open access publishers for certain countries. I don't know, Anouk, if you have any comments or anything that you can add to that.
Yes, for the Research for Life, that's both for subscriptions, and also it happens now with the APCs that sometimes there's 100% funding. There are no costs for Research for Life countries. However, for our territory, that really affects only the lowest income countries in Latin America. And those are not the countries we normally focus on because they don't have budgets for any subscriptions or open access agreements. And because of the Research for Life, they don't need it because they already are getting everything without a cost. But yes, the countries we are mostly focusing on, Mexico, Colombia, Chile, for example, Brazil, of course, those countries are not the lowest income countries in the region, so they would not apply for those Research for Life initiatives.
Okay, thanks, Anouk. I just had one question myself that I wanted to ask Anouk, actually. It was just to do with, we hear a lot about the problems in Mexico. And, I'm sure there are some publishers thinking, is it even worth doing business there? It's a kind of a similar conversation we sometimes have about Turkey. These markets become more difficult. So what's your what advice do you have? I mean, is it still worth doing business in Mexico despite these challenges?
Yes, I definitely think it is. Mexico is, as I mentioned, the second economy of Latin America. It's a huge market. There are many institutions there. And I think it's important to keep doing business there at this moment, even in challenging times, for mainly two reasons. One would be to maintain the current business that is still there. There are still some important institutions like UNAM, for example, or the Research Institute, Simbastav. Those have traditionally been subscribing to many resources, and they have the funds to continue to subscribe. They're just needing a little bit more of paperwork now that they are no longer able to do things centrally through the consortium, but they are still subscribing. So first of all, maintaining the current business that is still there is very important. And then also there are many institutions that have lost access to a large number of information resources in the last few years, and they are very interested in getting it back, or getting those resources back, or getting other resources back. And even if they do not have the budget right now, they might have next year, or they might have in the coming few years. And I think it's very important to keep close to these institutions, to really continue to work with them. So that once they do have budget again, once things get better, maybe the government changes in a few years, our publishers will hopefully be top of mind for those decision makers when they have the budget again to subscribe.
Great, thanks, Anouk. Yeah, I mean, my feeling, like always, we work in a huge global economy now. We have multiple territories. All of our publishers work across the whole world, I'm sure. And when one region is down, other regions are up. But in my kind of short experience of life, it seems to be cyclical. So no doubt, Turkey and Mexico and other countries or territories that are going through hardship at the moment will turn around. I think it was fascinating to hear from Pradeep about those statistics about India's economy as an example of how the world keeps changing and how we have to adapt to it. So, okay, just being conscious of time, I think I'll draw a line under the Q&A there and just move on just to say thank you to everybody for listening in. Thanks to all of our speakers for contributing, and obviously to Pulvi and Onko behind the scenes, pulling the strings. So thanks very much to them for keeping everything running smoothly. As mentioned, we will email a link to the presentations, and I've had a few direct messages about making sure that we distribute the PowerPoint slides. We'll make sure all of that good stuff is sent out. We look forward to getting feedback from you about what other update sessions you'd like to hear, what other territories, what other markets you'd like us to focus on next time. We do like to keep things fresh and change it up. So that's why we don't continue to just do the same over and over. But there was obviously a need at the beginning, it seemed to be, for China to be represented next time. So we'll make sure that we factor that in. Just so you know that Accucoms will be at UKSG this year. I won't be at UKSG. I'll be actually at SSP. So for anyone who's attending SSP, please come and visit our stand and say hello. So it would be great to see you there. And then I just wanted to end with this final slide. Again, a few people have been asking us whether we're going to Frankfurt this year. And the answer is yes, absolutely. We're very much looking forward to getting back to Frankfurt and having AccuFest in person. So details will follow, but we look forward to welcoming you, if you're able, on the 17th of October in Frankfurt for AccuFest, just ahead of the Frankfurt Book Fair. So hopefully be able to catch up with you either in person at SSP or at Frankfurt this year. So thanks very much, everybody. Thanks for your time today, and look forward to catching up with you soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.